We'll get started. Thanks to everybody for coming out tonight to our workshop, and hope you can stay if you would like to for our commission meeting. I will not so much apologize for Chairman Rumley tonight, but he has come down with I guess about as close to the flu as you can have. That's what he's calling it. And he did tell me it was all right to put it out, not breaking HIPAA laws or nothing like that, but he's home very sick. And so keep him in your thoughts and your prayers. It is not COVID. I know some people's already asked that. It's not COVID, yeah. But as we all know, he and Diane both back earlier in the year, but it's not that. It's just a kind of a bronchial thing, so keep them in your prayers. As we get started, okay, our first item is the approval of the agenda, and everybody was sent that. Is everybody good with it? Yep. All right, that on the consent agenda. Approval of previous meeting minutes. That would be 10-7, and both regular and workshop. Everybody good with that? The personnel status report. We're still showing down 19. I guess it'd be a good time. Where's Alex at? Alex, are you still looking for employees in the 911? So we do have some job openings. If anybody is listening or anybody here, we got 2 in 911. So if you're interested in that, I would ask you to come by and see our HR person, which is Mary Bailey. She'll be in the commission office. If you're interested, you're listening and you're interested in that.
Also Billy.
And Billy, do you know what he's looking for now?
4.
We got 4.
CDL.
Yeah, 4 in the road department, and one of the requirements, of course, is CDL because they have to be able to drive and transport machinery. 4 in the jail.
Now, Robert, we need another employee at the library. Our youth education coordinator that we had for 3 weeks decided it wasn't the job for her, so.
Uh-oh. Man, we're about to shut down for lack of employees. I've never heard of that before. But that's being a little bit, it's really not a joking matter, but all across this country, there's people looking. I saw a truck today that said, now hiring on the back of a tractor trailer. And so the jobs are out there, but if anybody's listening, you have somebody in your family and you're here and you think they might be interested in these jobs, please give us, come by, give a call to the HR person or myself or anyone here, as a matter of fact. All right, so everybody good with the status report? We done found out we got a lot of openings and a lot of needs. Everybody good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Board appointments and proclamations. And we do have them. First thing we have is the proclamation for the Adoption Awareness Month. And this is something that we do every month and, every year. A lot of families out there that, or children out there that adopted, and a lot of adopting families. So is everybody good with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Put it on the consent agenda. Up next is B, the hospice month. One of the best things, I think. It's sad that people have to use it, but it's one of the best things that families have on their side in some terrible situations. Everybody good with the proclamation for hospice month?
Yes.
Put that on the consent agenda. All right, we've got resolution R40-40-21. That is the appointment of a member to the Dade County Alcohol Beverage Control Board. It's actually a reappointment for a 4-year term of Duran Stevens. He served on it for a good while. I don't know how many terms already, but he's was accept another term. Is everybody good with that?
Yes, I'm good.
right. Put that on the consent agenda, please. And then Resolution R-41-21 is a reappointment as well to the Tax Assessor Board, and that is for Donnie Williams for a 3-year term. Donnie served on it now for several years. Is everybody good with Mr. Donnie? Okay, put that on the consent agenda, please. Resolution -42-21, member to the board resolution, reappointment of a member to the Board of Health, and this is Ms. Bernice Hawkins. It's for a 6-year term, beginning January 1st through 12/31/27. Bernice has served on that and does a great job. Is everybody good with Ms. Bernice? All right, put that on the consent agenda, please. All right, next is the Resolution R-43-21 is appointment of someone to the Limestone Valley Resource Conservation and Development Council. It's also a reappointment for a 2-year term, and that is Mr. John Case, 1/1/22 to 12/31/23. He served on that for several years as well, and will serve again if that's good with everybody. Everybody okay?
I'm good.
All righty. And one more, and that is Resolution -44-20, also a reappointment to the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission, kind of a liaison guy, non-governmental guy, is Peter Cervelli. This is for a 1-year term. He is serving now, and this is to reappoint him for 1 year for the year 2022. Is everybody good with Mr. Cervelli on that?
Yes, sir.
All right, put that on the consent agenda, please. All right, now that's got all those. We go down to number 5, and it is approval of splash capital equipment, if any, and there's plenty of any, it looks like tonight. So we'll bring up the first one is an RFP thing for the shop at the sports complex. Where's
Jason.
you want to come up here, Mr. Stacy?
We put this out actually the second time on the RFP. The first time we didn't get any bids on it, and we received 2 bids this time for an RFP. I know y'all have the numbers in front of you. It's to expand the shop. It's 30 foot wide and expanded out 40 feet, add 2 restrooms and 2 more roll-up doors onto the side of it.
You recall, I don't think I put it on there. How much they were, I forgot.
No, we don't have the numbers.
Oh,
We've got the
I didn't
scope of work, but we don't
I
have
can
it.
get it.
Okay.
Keep talking.
You gonna do a song and
Why
dance,
do
Stacy?
you need it?
Yeah, why do you? Now, this is basically doubling the size of the
Yes.
maintenance shop.
Well, the shop now is a 30 by 30. We're adding 40 more feet onto the back side of it, which I know everybody's been down there, we're really having to leave our tractors and other equipment outside. And there's never been a restroom or an eye wash station or anything in the shop.
And we got brand new equipment sitting out in the way.
Well, our tractor's, what, Robert, 4 years old, 3 years old? It's been sitting outside.
For relatively new equipment.
Yeah.
Mowers, tractor,
Well, the mowers, we have enough room to put the mowers on the inside. We elected to leave the Kubota tractor out because it'll withstand the weather a little better than the lawnmowers will.
but this would be sufficient room to be able to bring most everything in.
Yes, well, actually.
That needs to
that's-
be brought in, not a scraper or a blade or something, but,
Right. Well, our field conditioner and other things, we're having to leave tarped outside. So we're buying 2, 3, 4 tarps a year whenever the weather tears them up, just to keep it covered up, keep the moisture off of it.
now you saying that would go,
That's as big as we can expand on the area we have.
oh, okay.
Philip and I have talked about it. We'd like to go bigger. There's not a good central location to relocate a shop down there without building a bridge and crossing a creek. because it would be nice to have it more centrally located. But that's gonna be quite a bit more money if we decided to move it.
Well, I hate to use the term we're killing time waiting on Don right now, but we ever thought of building some kind of an awning or something to put that, could you do that?
But the tractor.
Infill, no, the
And on this
infill.
bid, well, we could, but there's other equipment. The tractor would be one, our turf topper, all of our tiller, all the other equipment's sitting outside.
Yeah,
'Cause
but I mean, where we're having to put that and put the tarps over it all the time and,
well, we put that up front. That's the field conditioner, which we get in on pallets.
And you'd still, if it's just the roof, you'd still have to cover it up from the blowing rain.
Yeah, and it's still, I mean, the rain's gonna blow in on it. On this proposal, it's got a awning onto one side. It's,
Got a 12 by 30 off the original shop.
right, 12 to 30 off of the original shop. And some things we can't put inside, we could put in under there. The Phillips been in there. I don't know if any of you others, when all the equipment's in there,
You can't get nothing else in there.
it's pretty tight. And like I said, you don't have room to put the tractor in there.
and this is with 2 restrooms, correct?
Yes, 2 restrooms.
I've updated on assembly. If you hit refresh, you'll see it.
One proposal came in from Integrated Properties for $253,900. And one came in from McBride Contracting, which was $188,182.
Refresh at the top.
And that was pretty much a lock and key bids.
All right, Don, how do we look on Splash for that?
Do what? Oh,
A
Splash.
I'm assuming we're
Well,
talking Splash.
The
I mean, there
new,
may be
the
some-
time that, well, so by the time if you were to approve this and we get it ordered, we were told it could be anywhere between 6 to 9 months before.
Yeah, both.
It's sitting somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, so we wouldn't get it anytime soon. So we wouldn't have to pay for it until then. By then, we would have collected sufficient funds in SPOS to pay for it. As of today, no, we do not have sufficient funds in SPOS.
Both contractors said it would be a minimum if they ordered the building, that it would take at least 6 months to get it.
Right.
And so everybody know what Don is saying, we just went under a new Splash. The old 15 Splash ran out. And so now we started collecting on a new one. And contrary to what some say is it's just a pot of money that we do for pet projects, it's all been spent on things for the county. Things like this, everything you're gonna hear talked about tonight, as these other gentlemen come up with needs. But that money is gone. There's a little bit left in it for a couple of things. And so we have started collecting on a new Splash, and it, thank goodness, is still up. So, only thing I would ask is that as you maybe get calls from these people and whatever, you come back to us and tell us, when it's time to start it, so we look at things then.
Well, both the contractors, as they came down, like they said, if it is approved, then, they could start to where the concrete slab, everything else is done. Because we've got to put a septic tank in, all, the wiring,
Yeah.
everything's got to be hooked up.
So there's no septic, there's no bathroom there now, right now? Is that
We
what-
have no bathrooms
No
in the shop.
bathroom,
In the
okay.
shop.
So y'all are having to use the one that.
We have to
the
go.
Athletic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, after we got these bids in, me and Stacy looked at it, and we may want to hold off on this, see if the price of the buildings come down, and that's a lot of money to spend. And we may have to look at other options of making this happen. That's, to me, was a lot of money to spend for that size of a building.
It's to my understanding right now, lumber has come down a little bit, metal studs and everything has went up.
So we're probably gonna hold off as far as because of the price, unless, depending on what y'all wanna do. I think we should hold off and look at other avenues of maybe building the building.
Yeah, I can take that recommendation.
Table it.
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, I guess would that be a female and male bathroom
Yes.
or,
Yeah. That was why we were going back with 2.
Okay.
Yeah, right now, if you're in the shop, then you have to go ahead of time to find, because the closest bathroom's 150, 175 yards away.
And there's how many employees?
Well, when I'm there, I have 2 full-time employees. Right.
I just don't know about 2 bathrooms.
No, well, seasonal employees are 5, and then there's trustees sometimes.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah. But I guess it would have to be a male-female bathroom situation. Yeah.
Well, I know, and I've been there, I know what, and have looked at this, and I know Philip does a lot of stuff down there, so I'm more than willing to take his recommendation.
Yeah, me too.
We have a small storage building out back. It's like a 12 by 12. I think it was built in the high school shop class way before I was there, but it's falling apart.
It's seen its better
It's
days.
seen its better days. Yeah.
And one really important factor that we don't have for our employees is the eye wash shower. They're handling dangerous chemicals and stuff, and I mean, you know, we let one of them get hurt without the proper equipment.
But both of these bathrooms on the drawings, there's a shower in each one, because if you're there and some reason you get diesel fuel all over you or fertilizer all down in your clothes, we have nowhere right now to wash off.
Is there water there now at all?
Yeah.
Just not a bathroom, but you do have water?
Well, the water line runs for the back bathroom on the back side of the park. Robert, runs like from here to that back wall. I mean, it's easily accessible, and the sewer line's right there. But there still would have to be a tank put in and then a pump to pump it from the sewer up to the road. And the breaker box and all's there, it's big enough that we can just tie right into it.
My question is, do we table this, or do we just do away with this RFP and then start over?
Well, table it just means no longer considering it.
Yeah, if it's that far out anyway, I mean, you know.
Right.
I think just take,
Okay.
Yeah. Like I say, wood framing has come down some. Right
It
now,
has.
steel is way
But
up.
metal, you're right, metal is up, yeah.
Metal is up.
Concrete's up. But, so we'd table,
Refuse it.
I think make a motion, you made a motion to table, is that right? And so what that means, we could bring it back up at some other meeting, or you could take formal action to deny it, and then we'd have to
Yeah.
restart the process. So I would, whatever you want to do.
I would say let's let's just deny this, or refuse this, or take a vote on this, yes or no. I don't think we need to table it just to let it stay out there.
I'm on board with what Philip offered up.
Steel
Yeah.
prices may come down or they may go up.
It's very true.
so your motion is to,
Not approved.
is not approve this at all. And I'm good with that.
I am too.
Too.
We need a second first, and then,
Just put on the consent agenda if there's no, objection.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We have for the Dade County Jail next a purchase and installation of an engine, generator, and switch. Is this you, Joe?
Yes.
We're gonna tag team y'all.
Okay.
We,
I see a big.
reason why we're tag teaming is because, more so than not, we're on the phone with each other when the power decides to go out. The generator was used when the building was built new. There's a lot of mismatched stuff when you start running numbers in there. Some stuff comes back to mid-80s, some stuff comes back to late 70s. It's every bit older than the building, and it's getting to a point where we're working on it more so than not. And Alex and Billy at the road department, they've done their part on trying to help us keep propped up and running. But when it goes out, it's obviously it's a safety and a security issue. But in addition to that, if we go down for about 25, 30 minutes, and GBI gives us a call, want to know what's going on, because we also have those terminals that come into our building first, and I'll let Alex talk.
Again, that's the original transfer switch that's been in that building, which is 200 amps. The generator sitting at a 400 amp. We do share, we go out together and bid with our 911 generators and that generator. The two that sits over one sets, the big one in the big green over here to the right of the building is the 911 generator. It's 600 amp. Then the one beside runs the jail. I want to say it might be the second generator. The very first one was some military generator. That one's been there. Our shop has rebuilt the heads on it one time. We do a yearly maintenance and a yearly load test with Stowers now. We done a major work on some things when they built the kitchen. Right now, because we didn't have enough load in the transfer switch, the wire going from the transfer switch to the generator will not hold the full 400 amps. So we had, at that time, I believe Lawson Electric helped do us a study what we would need. That's been way back when the kitchen was put in. And then just here recently, we had it done again, and Tri-State come in and helped us with it. That building is run on 800 amps, that whole Justice building. And that's the easiest and cheapest way to put it in instead of partialing it out with a 500 or a 600 amp. We have to turn around and run jumpers back to all the other switches we have, which is halfway down in the men's closet. There's a electrical room. When the kitchen was built, there's a sub panel over there in the backside. What we had our training room in, that was now the driver's license. And Joe's Kitchen has to run off a pigtail that we have to pull another generator up here, manually wire it in, and do all that. And on top of our issues with COVID we've dealt with the 2 years, the ventilation that he has in there, if that stuff's not running, we take a higher chance of exposure. And I guess looking in with our American Rescue Plan Act, that was one of the things that we were already talking about doing, that this may qualify for that, to put it in. We took the RFPs that we done for the generators that we bought on the hazard mitigation grant several years ago, reworked it to a 800 amp generator and 1,000 amp transfer switch is what we want to put out for bid. We have not got the pricing back yet, but we just wanted you to look at the bid. We went through it. I went through it, marked it all up, sent it back to Don. We sent it out to Joe and the sheriff and Major, let them look at it, and this is the document that we've come up with. This would be the generator, the transfer switch, and then the installation to do that. And when it's like, for this being this complicated and looking at everything, there would like to have a pre-bid meeting in here and walk them over there and let them physically look at it and see it. And based on the last electrician that looked at it, the engineers that looked at it, if we get it big enough to handle the whole switch, the whole amperage of the building, it's a lot easier. We don't have to run a lot of different subs on it. Now, we have added other power to it, off of it, but we're maxed it out. We just don't have the size of the cable. We want to relocate it closer to the room, which is the corner of the building. When you go out front here is our main electrical entrance into the Justice building. We want to put it right there at the corner because steel's high, copper's high, aluminum's high. We just have to take out a section of the concrete and part of the gravel, and we stay on the southeast side of our grease traps and all for his kitchen, and put it right there and make it easier to get into the building because we're going to do some saw cuts in the floor, concrete saw in the floor. A lot of that, if you look at all of the outside of the building, it's got a lot of wiring that we've had to conduit on the outside because, again, the building being the mid-'80s wasn't thought about at this time, and we're just at a critical point. I think 2 winters ago, I think we run 2 generators, 2 800K generators that we got on our grant to keep them warm when we lost power. Usually we lose power together. He's fed on the sheriff's office is fed on the north end, and we're fed on this south end. There's been a few times where we're not out, but with everything together, we get pretty critical quick if we don't have power. In his situation with your inmate totals, we get in a critical step really, really quick. And this would take care of the boiler, everything to run the facility would be handled off the 800 amp system.
And this is just an RFP.
Right.
We don't have the results. We haven't initiated it. So,
The estimated cost of just the 2 pieces of equipment back in June was $105 $6,000, the transfer switch and the generator. And it's a diesel generator. Propane and natural gas are a lot higher because they have to build their bigger motors to run the same motor, and it's hard.
That way on any generator, propane, it has to be a lot bigger
So much
engine to
bigger.
get it the same amount of
I'm
power.
gonna say the propane was 148 or 147, I think, when I looked at it today. That was back in June of this year.
And this does qualify, I mean, for ARP, funding, since it involves so many systems, especially with the jail.
Because there'll have to be a downtime, we probably want them to work in. We do have the capability to probably run some stuff temporarily, but, that's the critical, it's gonna be a very critical point. We got people in that facility that we can't be down too long. So it's a big deal. We don't know what it may be, if they bring us something temporarily, because they're gonna have to cut it off and do some work in the main switch. It's gonna be a very long, orchestrated time of the system to get it done.
But they can do it fairly quickly because we did it at the hospital not long ago.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I mean, it's
This is going to be planned.
an hour or
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
But it's gotta be planned out. I understand.
We'd like to, again, we looked at it for the COVID response, and it would qualify for our American Rescue Plan.
All right. Mr. Hartline, what do you think?
Basically, you're just sending out an RFP now for this, and then you're replacing 2 generators with 1.
One generator.
You're replacing 1 with 1.
Yeah, that's the.
And one
called the
switch
jail
that'll
generator.
handle the whole building
It'll
instead
be
of.
an 800 amp generator, whatever KW, I think it's 250 KW.
Right.
And a 1,000 amp transfer switch with the installation. And that installation will be taking the old existing stuff out, tying all the new existing, they've got to have a new transfer switch, new wiring, new saw cuts in the floor. We're really concerned about that because our whole building is under the floor. A lot of your electrical comes up out of the floor. Where we done the manual transfer switching for the kitchen's got to come out. There is some code issues in there that we got to get corrected, just over the time. And that's one of the biggest things they looked at and seen us, and we just, to make it right. And we need us.
Would this give you any growth? Like if there was any growth, would that grow with you a little bit, or it's just taking care of what's there then?
Yeah.
We don't really have any room for growth right now. I've got every crook, nanny, storage, there's no room. We're looking at possibly a 60 by 60 medical facility, going after it with some COVID funds. And like I said, we're just in the looking phase. And it would have to encompass the parking lot where the deputies park, right outside the Sally Port, to even do that.
Right.
And that's all we got as far
If
as.
it's a medical facility, you'd fall under a whole different guidelines. You wouldn't be able to use that same transfer and switch.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, ideally,
Be
if we
probably
had that
separate.
building, it would have its own
Yeah,
generator.
it'd have to be
Right.
separate.
Yeah.
We've also, I mean, like I said, we've done good maintenance on this generator. It's done good. We've had a few hiccups this year with it. It's part of it. We took some type of lightning strike or surge or something. It got both the generators. It got the transfer switch, just the control board that happens. Heavy lightning storms, we'll take 2 or 3 hits on our towers. It's just the nature of where we are on these mountains and rocks. One of the goals is to move, when we updated one of the generators at the Dade North Tower, we took a small 10K down to the shop. We learned in 11 we couldn't pump fuel. So we had to rig up a generator. We plumbed this in with a transfer switch. The goal would be to take this one down there and get a bigger transfer switch, and we could run a whole lot more of a shop to keep our roads cleaned and going if we have a storm.
So it's still usable, it's not?
It's very
just-
usable. It's got 587 or almost 600 hours. I mean, the shop's been through it before.
Yeah.
And, we can get some more life out of it.
It just don't need to be where we've got people that,
Yes.
as Joe said, GBI is wondering what y'all doing up there, so.
He cannot take care of his inmates or anything with COVID restraints if we had them, or besides that, if he's got somebody that's sick, that's where he's putting these folks in and keeping the exhaust away and the way they've redone the HVAC in there. This would run everything.
Another thing you gotta look at, if that engine lets loose, blows up, and you had to bring a temporary generator in, that's about $2,500 a month, plus the initial installation.
We done that because when that thing blew up, we brought one in. We rented one with Stowers. It's just that we didn't have a big enough one towable at the time, but it's just one of those things. How many inmates you have?
Today we got 86.
It's 86 lives that we're responsible for.
And I think to rent a generator, you can't bring one out no less than $20,000.
There's a basic minimum to bring it out and then a monthly charge, and it's
But with our-
outrageous.
But with our agreement with Stowers and our maintenance, they've really been good when they brought that one out. I think it was either that one or the 911 that went down. We had to do some work. They brought us one and set outside, we run it through, but it was scheduled. But yeah, it's,
Well, with all that being said, my question is, in the last 3 years, how many times have y'all been without power? And then how much maintenance issues you having with the machines? Because we're spending taxpayers' money to keep that up, and we don't have a generator at my house. So when my power goes out, I get cold. So
well, we have a yearly maintenance that they come service it. I want to say it's around $1,800 a year.
but even on a new one, you're gonna have it maintained every year, correct? They're still gonna have to come out and check it.
Our guy, Billy's guys come and check the oil, crank it once a month.
Right.
Check the oil and all like that, but the full maintenance, we've had contract with Stowers
And
before I started.
usually when Stowers comes out, it's been here lately when Stowers comes out and maintenances, there's always something else. The last 3 times, there's been a bigger
But
problem.
it's, we took a lot, some type of strike.
Something's got burned in it
One
there.
of the things, of the transfer switch, it was so old, it couldn't get parts, we had to send it to a third party to rebuild it.
But, I mean, unfortunately, there's, I know people don't want to hear this, but we're responsible for the inmates and they have certain guaranteed rights. It's not a popular thing, but it's a fact of the matter.
What do you think, Mr. Lowry?
I'm good with it.
Because all we're doing tonight is for you to put out
Go out and see
put out a
what it
bid
is.
and see, and then we'll see how that comes back and what we got.
So if we get that out, I think there's a pre-bid, the 20 or the 17th, I believe. Anyway, it's a pre-bid that we can have people come in and look at it, take time, see what we can get, which probably Stowers and On and would be the 2 main ones that's in Chattanooga that looked at them before.
All right,
All right.
everybody good with it?
Mm-hmm.
Consent agenda, please. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
And keeping with our law enforcement personnel now, we have a request, another RFP. Come up here, sir. And this is pretty much a standard thing we do every year. Is that not correct, Don?
Correct.
Mr. Burrell, he'll tell us all about it.
Hi. Sheriff's Office is requesting 3 vehicles. I've actually got a couple of handouts if you want to look at. These are the current vehicles that we have and their mileages. For insurance reasons, pursuit vehicles need to be under or at 150,000 miles. The stress of the metals and everything else for pursuit reasons, insurance, they balk a little bit at covering vehicles with that many miles. So we've got a few that are there. We have a few that we can actually use in a non-emergent setting. We have a court, 2 court vehicles. The only thing is that if there is an emergency, these are deputies. They will respond. So we want to try to keep it as fresh a fleet as we can. What in the past, what we've had are Explorers, The Crown Vic, of course, they no longer make. And we've had Tahoes, which I personally, right now, I'm not a real big fan. They're too big, they're hard to park, they're hard to get in through traffic, and they're heavy. So a new, relatively new consideration also is fuel. Fuel's gone up for everybody, and that's the sheriff's office included. It's gone up over $1. That's a 33% increase across the board for fuel. And we are, I believe, the largest user of fuel in this county. I don't think anyone uses as much fuel as we do. The equipment that comes with the vehicles, what's that?
I just happened to talk to Carolyn Lane
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
and I was talking about the cost of fuel for the county, and she told me that y'all had went from like 6,000 and something to 9,000 in
Yep.
1 month.
Yep. That's that full 36% increase. But with that consideration, and in speaking with Billy with the shop, they're set up for Fords. We've got prices for the Dodge, the SUV that they have, the Durango, and we have prices for Explorers. Tahoes this year, they only produced 400 vehicles, and they're already gone. I wanted to get 3 separate vehicles. Most state fleet prices are pretty much the same anywhere. They kind of come from the home office, and they're kind of, for that state, that's the price. I recommend the Explorer, and in looking at it with a fuel consideration, I recommend the EcoBoost, which gets a lot better fuel mileage.
That's what I have, and it does get good. I have a F-150 that gets 20 miles a gallon around town.
Yes. Right now, in the vehicles that we have, in the way that we use them, we average around 10 per gallon.
What am I doing?
So if we can do something to help that, now they're a little bit more, they're $3,800 more per vehicle, but after 60,000 miles, we'll start seeing a benefit from that as opposed to, just staying low.
Well, Don warned us over a month ago that this was coming, and it was time. It's past time.
We're kind of hurting. You can see with the mileages on the vehicle, the chart that I gave you.
So I was gonna say, what do you figure you average a year in mileage?
Well, it varies. Court officers, a lot less. Patrol,
Right.
you can figure $200 a night, or 200 miles per night. That's going county, that's responding to calls, that's going through neighborhoods, patrolling, that's going interstate. That's a 12-hour shift of moving. And that's what we want them to do. We want them visible. We want them in places to deter.
So you got 3 at the limit now, and then 3 more.
That are way over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've also taken a big hit with unmarked vehicles this year. We had a tan Ford Explorer, and that's got water in the oil. It's 220,000 miles on it. It's not worth putting money into it. We have a purple truck that we've been babying for 2 years now. It's got 220,000 miles on it, and it's on its last leg. But Billy said, don't drive it out of the county. So we've just, we're at a point that we really need some vehicles. The equipment, as you can see, the equipment costs almost as much as the vehicle. Mm-hmm. The radio, the computer, the whole thing, it costs almost as much as the car does.
Do we have anything that would be changed out with them?
There are, but we have right now 2, Alex, it's 2 that are not 4RE, right? That's correct. Okay. There are 2 that are not 4RE. We want to try to bring that up if we can, because that system is a little bit antiquated for us.
That's the body camera, car camera system.
It's the full system.
And again, this is basically something we have to do about every year with 3 vehicles, and I know that, so.
We do.
And again, it's a request for proposal.
Yes.
And,
I'm good with it.
Or, you got the results though, didn't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do actually have the results.
What are the numbers?
Didn't see them on there.
I've got them right here. Hold on one sec.
It's, right from a dealer price, so it's almost all the
Okay.
same.
Okay. For the EcoBoost Explorer, it's $36,926.40 per vehicle. For the standard, it's called the 3.3 liter, it's $33,119.40. And then
33 what?
$33,119.40. And I've got two for a larger motor, Durango Pursuit. That is $43,213.70. And the standard Durango is $39,370.
And the EcoBoost and the 3.0 liter is both 2022 Ford
Correct.
Explorers.
That's correct.
so the Explorers were your lowest
Absolutely.
bid.
Yes, sir.
Who's that with?
Prater.
Prater?
Yep. I'm requesting the EcoBoost because of not necessarily up front, but after about 60,000 miles, we'll actually see a benefit from the added fuel mileage. So we won't see that right away, but we will see that eventually. And especially when we're keeping them 150,000 plus. So we will see a savings from that over time.
And we know we're looking down the road. I drove by Prater's yesterday. I was actually in Calhoun. I don't know how they're still in business. There's nothing on their lot, and that's about everywhere.
Jerry Hicks tells me he can get them within a couple of months. They're not with him, but he can get them.
They would be next year up in.
Yeah, it'd be
early-
January, February.
early, yeah.
Yep.
What's that total, Don? You doing some, now, that's only the vehicle though.
I was going to ask on this watch guard, you've got 12,460.
That's for two. I apologize. That was for two
Okay.
units. So per unit, it's $68.30, I think.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, for the watch guard, it's $62.30. Yeah. The emergency lighting, the cheapest we got was with Mountain View, and I don't know how comfortable I'm with going back to them because we've had a lot of problems.
But that's-
Their first year, so we kind of took a chance on them, but they gave us a price of $10,000, but it was rather poor. The Donahue is a $12,000 range, but that was perfect. And they used the block, they used different things to make the whole thing work better for the lighting. And, that's a 20% difference, but it was worth it because we didn't have the constant going back and forth, tweaking this and moving that. It was just a lot. The computers are still right around $6,000, right? And the radios are every bit of $3,000. So that's the nature of it. There may be some savings that we could use, but some of that stuff is older, right? And if there's something that we can use from the old vehicles, we'll use it.
So are you asking to approve the vehicles tonight and then come back later for the lights and all, the radios and?
With
you got it all
what I
there,
gave you
We
right
need to
there,
do it
I'd really, those are the most realistic prices that I can come up with. And we've had a lot of folks that are no longer doing it, or they're doing it a lot less. With COVID and whatever I know everyone's tired of hearing it, but the reality is there's people that still aren't coming back to work.
It is what it is, you're
They
right.
can't staff, they don't open up dining rooms. It's not because of COVID, it's because they don't have the employees to take care of them.
On this, I see, Mountain View, it's either Mountain View or Donahue.
Yes, yeah. And I gave you, like the Mountain View's around $10,000.
Yep.
The Donahue, which is a much better install, is around $12,000. I wanted you guys to have an idea of what the install fees would be.
Did you say 61,608?
No, I ain't.
Okay, I got 61,608.77
Or,
per vehicle.
Per vehicle. Yeah.
That includes the watch guard,
for the
oh, the
Boost.
EcoBoost, I'm sorry, yeah.
EcoBoost.
EcoBoost, yeah.
Yeah.
On the high side, I had it at 192,000 for just the high side of anything. I do not believe that we'll be there. But to be, completely transparent,
Yeah.
y'all need to know.
Well, I was just a bit confused, because what we're looking at said a request for proposal, and I didn't know
Yeah.
you had all
I
that.
got you.
So
I apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was, we had already issued that. On the first page you saw, I mean, it's got, they
And I know
issued it back in
Prater-
October.
In the past several years, Prater has
Yeah.
underbid everybody.
Every year.
I mean, it's $10,000 difference between that and the Durango. And we don't have an option for a Tahoe, not that I would take it. And honestly, I think there's a much better product for the police department, law enforcement specific, with the Explorer.
And you said once they reached 150,000, that was the
Yeah.
insurance.
We move them out
At
of
150.
everyday patrol. We move them out to ancillary things like court or SROs. Here's the issue. We're small, and there are times that we need all hands on deck. And I'd like to get to a point, in replacing 3 a year, I think we can do that within the next 2 or 3 years. We'll get to the point that everyone, all of their vehicles will be interchangeable, at least to a degree.
Well, we kind of had that back when they did the old, Crown Vics. We came to that, and then they quit Crown Vicing it.
Yes,
So-
they did. Yes, they did.
But they were good cars, and I'm sure they.
I'd love to have them back. I'd love to have them back, but
Okay. So it's 61,608.77 per vehicle, $184,826.31. As stated tonight, it could go to right at 190. That's if we're unable to use anything off of any car, which we typically always try to use cages or Motorolers, different things. So it may not end up costing
the
that.
cages won't fit.
The cages won't fit.
They did a body style change for the
Okay.
Explorers.
So,
Can we approve it then just to not exceed $190,000?
yes.
That's what I'd be for.
Okay.
So we're approving a bid, not a request for proposal for not to exceed 190,000.
on
It
3
just-
cars.
Yes, we had issued a RFP 2021-05 for 3 Explorer utility police interceptor vehicles for a cost not to exceed $190,000.
Okay. With Heartline?
I'm good with it.
how long has the EcoBoost been out? How long is that?
8 years, 9 years.
They were,
As a matter of fact,
I know
there's
they were
several
in
the-
13. but-
There's several owned in the county and I think 3 or 4 owned by Dade County.
They may have come out in 13, somewhere around then.
We're not.
They're
I
stable.
mean, I just don't want to run into next year, we have the same problem and they stop making it. And
Oh, right. Well, the
You know.
EcoBoost is the newest motor and probably the most efficient motor that Ford has. And our shop is set up to take care of that.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
next biggest switch may be all electric vehicles, because they're just about, Ford's going to just about pure
And I'll
electric.
tell you, from what I've seen from electric vehicles, they're amazingly efficient.
It's coming.
Yeah,
That's good, man.
All right, everybody good with it?
yeah,
No consent agenda. That's enough.
Nope, go far.
Oh, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Well, it was for me, Barry.
Yeah, interview room.
Make him come.
Oh, you're doing that too?
Yeah, yeah. In the course of investigations, we were required to record and keep interviews and testimony in the midst of crimes or in the investigation of crimes. We've been doing that, and it's been very and as awesome as has, you know, a lot of the support that we've had, it's just, it hasn't worked out very well. We've priced things prior to this, and they were in the $30,000 range, and we just knew we weren't coming to you for that. We've talked with Bob that takes care of our cameras here, and he's created a closed system for us that we can keep within the sheriff's office, beginning with an officer of the law and ending with an officer of the law. That's for chain of custody, things like that the law and the legal process require. We can, with this system that we talked to Bob about, it's around $6,000, which is a lot better than the prices that we got from other folks. What we're using right now are sometimes laptop computers, and we have a small portable video camera that the sound quality is poor. We find that the juries are asking, what did they say? What's going on? And it just making it tough. So we're requesting $6,000 to cover or we're requesting money to cover a camera system and audio system for our interview room in investigations.
All right. We thought it was an expansion, so.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better than what I had in my mind.
Yeah,
Plus
no, we have the room, we
32,000,
have
so.
everything set up.
I was thinking new building
Well,
again.
We're,
yeah.
no, we're just.
We're looking, it says, expansion of interrogation. I thought, where in the world are we gonna build on?
No, we've got that.
So you're
We've got-
expanding the technology.
Correct. We need the cameras and the audio and visual is what we need. And it has to be extremely high quality because that's the new standard. In juries today, they don't want to ask, what did they say?
Right.
So what was the cost?
$6,000. So, $6,500, I apologize. And there may be a little bit because he hasn't done final orders, but it's going to be right around there.
All right, so it's under 10.
Yes.
Mr. Hartline?
I'm good with it.
Oh, yeah, I'm good with it. We don't defund our police.
Well, that's true. And it's basically, we've done a lot of this at the courthouse where y'all don't have to go to,
Yes.
take a prisoner to Atlanta for a deposition. or something.
Televideo, yes. And that's saved a lot.
At-
This, however, is all the stuff that happens before that
For that,
we have to record for posterity.
okay, that was gonna be my question, so.
Yeah, it's absolutely required. If you take a statement from a deputy, today's age, it really doesn't mean much. They want to hear it from the person. You know what I mean? When a deputy says, I spoke to so-and-so and he said this, they don't want to hear that.
They don't wanna hear-
want to hear
they
the
don't wanna
person
hearsay.
say it.
you good with it?
Yeah,
I'm good with it. Put that on the consent agenda, please.
I don't know how you
Thank
got.
you, guys. All right, I'm getting out of here before you hurt me.
Barry, just go. All right, we hadn't heard nothing yet. The penny any. All right, we have kind of a demonstration here from our fire departments, and I don't know who's coming up, Rodney, and
Guess I'll start out. We started on this project back in 2019. We came to y'all in 2020, And I think most all of you had a heart attack when we requested what we needed. So we've come back and worked on it. It's been a pretty good process, but we still need some help. We've got a presentation that we're going to present to y'all. That way it may answer some questions, but it'd be good for everybody out in the public to know what we're talking about rather than just some numbers. I'm gonna ask Kerry, he's kind of our tech guy, to lead you through this.
I wasn't gonna say that.
Well,
So, yeah, basically, this is our SCBA presentation that we kind of put together. We also have some air packs back here to kind of show you the difference of what we have and what we're looking at, if you want to look at those afterwards. So basically, SCBA is a self-contained breathing apparatus. It's a respiratory device, delivers breathable air, compressed air to the firefighters working in hazardous conditions, also known as air packs. Our 2019 request, or 2019-2020 request, was to replace all of our SCBAs on the truck. Roughly was 165 SCBA frames, air mask, and 330 cylinders. Estimated cost was around $1 million. Association coordination. 7 departments have all come together and agreed on one type and brand, a pack that'll be interchangeable on all incidents among all agencies that are working together. They come together to help reduce overall cost of packs and reduce overall number of packs actually needed. We reviewed pack demos, research grants, and research the ISO and state requirements. So the NFPA state ISO, they require 1981 for each assigned seating on the truck, not fewer than 4 on a pumper and 6 on ladders mounted in brackets fastened to the apparatus or stored in containers supplied by the SCBA manufacturer. 1 spare SCBA cylinder for each SCBA carried and mounted or stored in specifically designated storage space. NFPA 1981, 2018, it establishes the level of respiratory protection and function requirements for the SCBAs. 1981 applies to the open circuit SCBA and combination SCBA SARS used during firefighting rescue, hazardous materials, terrorist incidents, and similar operations. These regulations are reviewed and or updated about every 5 to 7 years. We're currently on the 2018. So the use of SCBAs, calls that require to be used, structure fires, commercial fires, vehicle fires, all fire alarms, hazmat situations, and we also use them in live fire training. On a 5-year average here in Dade, 17 calls a month was the average on the 5-year. Our current situation, there's 7 fire departments in Dade, 125 firefighters in total. 59 are nationally certified as firefighter 1. 9 of those are certified as firefighter 2. 57 are state certified or registered volunteer or registered support. 66 are certified as a first responder, EMT, or paramedic. All our current SCBAs have or will be expiring within the next year. The majority of those packs are between 1990 and 2002 models and have recently fallen out of compliance or non-serviceable. 3 departments use 3M Scott Safety, 3 departments use MSA, and 1 department uses ISI, none of which will interchange with one another. So the new request is to replace SCBAs and spare cylinders on engine and ladder companies, 93 SCBAs, back frames, 93 masks, and 186 cylinders. In February 2021, we submitted a grant to FEMA for consideration for assistance. All 7 departments contributed funds for grant writing assistance. and we were awarded a grant for $115,909.09 for this project. We reached out to 3 vendors, MES with 3M Scott Safety, Fireline Equipment with MSA, and NAFCO with Draeger, which they have not responded to any request. So next up, you got the MSA quotes. It's quite small on mine too. I can't give you the right numbers. Yeah, I can.
668-778-19.
Yep, yeah, 668, 778, 19. That would replace the 93. The next page is for MSA and Fireline Equipment. Quote is 720, 285. Yeah. And Draeger has not responded after multiple requests.
Now, is that including or on either one of them, the 115,000
That is,
grant?
those quotes haven't, the 115 hasn't come off of that.
I think maybe you've got it down here somewhere though where it
Yeah,
is.
it's on in the presentation. So the warranty comparison, Scott 3M safety warranty has a long as you own it warranty on the back frame, pneumatics, electronics, and face mask. 5-year electronic voice amp, 15-year cylinder life. MSA has a 15-year back frame warranty, 1-year electronic voice amp, 1-year heads-up display, 5-year face mask, and a 15-year service life on the air cylinder. So our decision, the 7 departments have chosen to go with 3M Scott Safety. It was the lowest bid received. It's compatible with other departments, automatic aid and mutual aid. The warranty is as long as you own it. And they offered free in-house training for maintenance and fit testing. The next page is just kind of their, as long as you own it, warranty specs. And then MES 5-star service tech center. So they have finance options. This actually does have the 115 as a down payment, and it gives some options as to what those payments would be: 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, and 7-year. So the next page is the department's needs and the totals for each department. It's broke down in what each department would be required to replace for engines and ladders, the price that was given on the quote, and the discounted price on certain packs. It gives the department totals, the contractual to be paid. That's will come off the top of the grant of the 115,909. That goes to the grant company. It gives the breakdown of how those grant funds are separated between the 7 departments. It gives the county total for each department, and then at the bottom, and then the city total is also there at the bottom, 85,421.
So it's all said and done to 467, 446, 91 is
That would be, yes,
what you're,
the county portion.
that's what you're looking for.
On the next page, the city has signed a letter of intent to pay for the 13 SCBA's needed for the amount of $85,421.98. And our future association goals to prevent recurring costs. The department plans to start early replacement of the 15-year cylinders or have them remanufactured. Early replacement of cylinders could be traded in reduction of cost on the new cylinders. And we also plan to go after grants in the future for purchases of air packs. Our request for consideration is 93 SCBA's with mask, 186 cylinders. We're requesting to use alternative funding, and fire departments issued SPLOST to be used to replace 25 to 30-year-old apparatus, estimated at 250 to 350. The truck replacement, apparatus needing replaced are 25 to 30 years old, 2,000-gallon water tenders with leaky tanks or mechanical issues. The apparatus cost of maintenance or remounting or refurbishing would overcome the cost of new. And space out purchases over the 6 years of that SPLOST. And our last page is just kind of a drawing of a truck that they're looking at as far as to replace those tenders.
One reason you haven't seen these come up before is because majority of us received grants about between 12 and 15 years ago for air packs, and there was nowhere near, I mean, of course, costs went up, but we didn't have to go to the county for that money. We was able to offset the grant with that. So this is not something that just popped up overnight. It's something that we gotta have. I'll just be honest with you. I know everybody says that, but we've got people going out of here, and me personally as a chief, and all the chiefs are here tonight, I don't see nobody hurt, period, but I don't want to see somebody get hurt and then it'll be because of out of compliance equipment, because they're gonna come after me and whoever's over that department, the county and everybody. And that's, you know, may sound like a beg, but you can call it what you want. I feel like these 7 departments offer this county a lot for what we do. You know, it is volunteer. We may be short sometimes, but we do get the job done. You can look around at the calls and everything. So it's not like we're not giving you something for the money. Y'all got any questions?
I'm gonna assume without buying that many at one time, y'all got a pretty good discount.
Yes.
Yeah, about $50,000 discount.
Good job.
And I think we need to separate the air packs from the truck, because we're talking about 2 different funding.
Well, we're not, you know, and what we were saying on that is we're trying to save the
Expecting that.
SPLOST money for the trucks.
Okay, good.
Okay, that was my
We've got
question.
multiple-
How many trucks is there that's needed?
Well, I know just at our station, we'll be doing away with 2 trucks. They really don't need to be used, but we gotta use them right now.
What
And
do they
there's
run?
roughly the prices of the trucks, and we've got 2 or 3 bids, and they were just, you know, rough bids, and they run anywhere from 250 to 350,000. So it's not an expensive hobby we got, I guess you could
And then
say.
how many miles can you take that truck if, you know,
I don't know if the mileage is really a breakdown,
Age is more.
it's the hours.
Hours?
the hours on it?
I think 3 of the tankers, the 2 that Robbie's got, Matt's are at
88 and 89. But they were used vehicles when we got them, so.
Right.
This has got one of those as well, come from deep south, that first engine, it's a 90. It's 80-something model.
But that's something you'll be coming back for. It's not.
That'll be later on. This is our priority right now, is this.
And if I understand it, and I know you and I have talked already, we're looking at something other than SPLOST dollars, because you want to use those SPLOST dollars toward those vehicles when that time does come.
We're looking at ARPA.
AR,
If possible.
I've
And how
spoke to
far
Don,
out
he
will
feels
that
like it's possible.
take you?
Well, we should get another 10, 15 years out of it. And the newer packs, the bottles are being made different, and some of those we can replace the valves on instead of like what we've got right now, they're useless.
Yeah.
You just gotta destroy them or let somebody shoot them or whatever, but, so they're no benefit. You can't get them redone or nothing else. This is just part of the process.
But the amount of packs and the cylinders, that covers all the trucks.
Those are all the trucks we got in the whole county.
Based on the ISO number of seats required for us.
Right. This is
And
a,
I'd just like to remind everybody, it's, when you say hobby,
well,
it's far more, we all know what y'all do is far more than a hobby. I mean, we appreciate our sheriff and even our jailers. I mean, they're keeping people safe. Our ambulance crews, all of our emergency service. Some of the Trenton are paid, but most of y'all are volunteers. You don't get anything. Matter of fact, it probably costs you money to be a volunteer. So, you know, I hope we address that one of these days where at least there's some kind of gratuity or whatever you want to call it at the end of the year toward Christmas. For, you know, and y'all set up the rules to where if they've answered so many calls or they've responded and then they apply for it. But I'd like to see that. And I'd like for everybody to introduce themselves too, to the crowd.
well, I'm Rodney Ross, Chief of New Salem. I'm the coordinator over the Chiefs Association.
I'm Kerry Phillips, I'm Deputy Chief at West Brown.
Tim Sharp, Chief of West Brown. Matt Hill, Chief, Southwest Fire and Rescue.
Benjamin Smith, Assistant Chief, Trenton.
Alex Case, Deputy Chief, City Trenton Fire.
Mark Gibson, Chief of Davis.
I'm Chris Lawrence, Chief at North Dade.
Dennis Kelly, Chief of Dumont.
Until we can do a little better there.
Well, first I want to say I do thank you that y'all have finally come to us with something and said we agreed to go uniform.
We did. It worked out better.
And I would ask in the future that you consider that on turnout gear or whatever, because when you can't, you know, it's to get it probably for, I know somebody likes the way this coat fits versus that coat, but we're talking you know, what you do and it is, and we're talking safety. And it just makes it easier on us. It's just like the cars we talked about for Sheriff's Department. They get all the same car. One gets in an accident and total, they may get to keep it, but you got a lot of parts to interchange. But if you got a Ford and a Chevrolet, you're just out of luck with it. So I do thank y'all for that. This is the first time that I know of that you've come to us with that, and it's big, because it does cost a lot.
We'll be doing that on the trucks when the time comes. So,
Our dilemma is, and I'll lean on our attorney and y'all do not want to use Splash, and I understand that. We've talked about it. And we have not really gone into this ARP money yet. It can be used probably for this. There's no doubt in my mind it can. Do you know for sure, Don, do you know for sure, Robin, that ARP money could be used for the purchase of, or is it something we need to make sure?
We could look to see, but I don't know that for sure.
And that's what we want to do. If you're looking for that money, is we will ask Robin to find out and make sure, because we're being kind of from the outside, well, what are y'all doing with that money? We're not doing anything, because here again, there's not a doubt in my mind, this is a safety issue. It's, you know, it's still in the days of COVID, and probably it can, but that's just what I'm thinking. But we may be told that can't, and then we have to go another avenue to do what I think we probably feel like we need to do, the right thing to do, because y'all are some of the guys we hope we never see, except in the grocery store or the restaurant, because, you know, you don't want you to show up in my house with that siren on and pulling hoses out and hooking up to the hydrant. So
If you do show up at my house, I hope you have the proper gear to go and get me or my family out.
there you go.
Or my friend's family.
As far as trucks go,
Oh, yeah, we know that.
they're not ARP fundable.
and that's the reason they're trying to hold off
Capital
on
asset nature of it.
Right.
The air packs, I will say, yes, they are definitely, and you will not hear me say that very often, definitely, but.
And I trust you,
We've already
Don.
checked with
Yeah,
ACCG,
okay.
and I can't think of that guy's name off the top of my head, but air pack, because air is associated with COVID, and the air packs can be used in a situation to go in any home or business where COVID is present. It makes it eligible.
And I think we can still want to do one thing, trust and verify.
Yes, Ronald Reagan.
So could we make the motion or the consensus to be that we approve it based on The attorney not
what the
finding
attorney
anything.
finds out.
I've got a
Finding
question.
anything else.
As far as the grant goes, y'all had to go ahead and proceed with the grant application in order to, and you've been
We've been
awarded
awarded.
an
We've been
intent.
awarded.
You do have that, that's for sure.
But as far as funding, there is a little bit of time. What was that? I can't remember.
Once we secured it, give us, about 6 months.
Okay.
So, I mean,
It's not like you're gonna lose the grant next week or anything, right?
They've actually got on here a payment scale from 3 to 7 years if you paid it off that way, but
I am for sure you can use ARP grant funds to back up that grant. Typically, you cannot, but you can with ARP funds.
not. Anything else? And that's all I'm just asking, just to make that, and I can go along with what Lamar said, that we do it pursuant to what he finds out.
As long as he doesn't find out anything to the negative of that.
Okay.
And he can, Don can get in touch with you or whatever and take it from there.
All right, thank you.
All right, everybody good with that then, and that?
And regarding ARP funds, let me just say, we've got, I know there's several questions coming up in the community. You're hearing a lot about it on the media. And so just to let you know, all of our numbers usually through October 31st, because it's usually the tail end of a month that we report on. We have not spent anything through October 31st, but we have obligated for certain funds. And when I say obligated, the Department of Justice, the U.S. Department of Treasury required us to submit a report. It was highly advised by counties and cities to go ahead and obligate certain amount of funds to show that you're spending, that you're that you're actually going to use the funds the way they were intended. We have not received 100% of the funds yet. We've only received half of the funds. We should receive the other, we're hopeful we'll receive the other half around May 1st next year. Contingent on the authorized and eligible use of funds, not only by Dade County, but all 159 counties, all cities, and all counties in America. There are a few counties in Georgia that have not used their funds yet. I'm getting off task here, but I just want to let you know that we've got certain things like PPE, gloves for the jail. There's different things that we need that we can use those funds for. That, I have no intent to bring every glove to y'all to approve, but when it's under grant for, $400,000, $500,000, of course, but.
That's real money if you say.
Yeah, HVAC is another one. Broadband, as we reported earlier, is a large one. We haven't committed any funds to broadband yet, but that's a clear path. You can do it for sure.
Protecting your public and your employees in our offices.
Oh, yeah, right. So what, y'all passed last month the human resource policy regarding if anyone's sick with COVID, and those funds can come through ARP. So, just be aware that there will be expenses now moving forward for such items that are well under $10,000. Many will be under $1,000, but anyway.
And that's the reason that, you're saying this, that we, the money's there and it's half of what we'll get, about $3 million total when it's all said and done. But we did not rush into let's spend this money because we wasn't going to spend it on something, air packs, and then them say, you can't do that. Then we got to go take Rodney's air pack away from him, and he's a big old boy, he'd be mad. And so that's why we're doing it, and based on what the attorney, just to verify, then we can handle that at that point. It shouldn't be probably a phone call, I'm guessing. So, okay, we're going down to, we got a couple of items left. Resolution R-38-21, and this is the resolution to approve the lease agreement 797A established by Georgia State Property Commission for the Department of Juvenile Justice office space. That's in the building, what we would call the jail building.
Right.
It's just a formality that we approve it, but on this has got how much they pay, and they are, as Don said earlier, they're good renters. Right now in 2022, they're paying $10,680 annual rent on that over there. So is everybody good with it, or do you have questions?
Good.
All right, consent agenda, please. Last but not least, We have a resolution to approve radio communications tower lease agreement 7523 established by the Georgia State Property Commission for the Georgia Forestry, Commission. And that is something we're already doing. Is that correct, Don? I mean, it's
Yes,
just,
we've been
it's
doing
just renewing it.
That's
So
correct.
everybody good with it?
Yes.
All right. And I think that concludes our,
So I just want to clarify for the air pack project. The air pack project, it's approved pending approval.
pending what our attorney finds out is, it is definitely with no question. And again, Don, I don't mean, I trust you. I trust you fully. I just, so, all right, that concludes our business session, and we'll take just a short break and just a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you need, and then we'll begin our commission meeting.